If you're planning any international travel in 2026, I need you to stop what you're doing and pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you. It is currently December 2025, and in just a matter of weeks, passport requirements are changing in ways that could leave you stranded at the airport, denied boarding on a flight you've already paid for, or facing unexpected fees that nobody warned you about. We're not talking about minor adjustments to paperwork. We're talking about digital authorization systems going live, strict enforcement dates that airlines must follow, and a 6-month validity rule that's about to catch thousands of seniors off guard. Here is the reality. If you look at your passport right now and it expires in August 2026, and you're planning a trip to Europe in March, you might assume you're fine because your passport is still valid during your travel dates. You would be wrong. You could be denied boarding at the gate. If you think you can waltz into London in February 2026 the same way you did last year, you're in for a rude awakening. There's now a £16 digital requirement that must be completed days before your flight. And if you miss it, the computer will not let the gate agent print your boarding pass. And if you're one of the millions of seniors still using an old driver's license without the gold star, your passport just became your ticket to avoiding a new $45 fee every time you fly domestically. Today, we're walking through 7 critical passport changes starting in January and February 2026. We're covering the 6-month rule that trips up even experienced travelers, the online renewal system that could save you a post office trip, the digital authorizations you must have for the UK and Europe, and the one passport trap that affects seniors with mobility scooters. This isn't about convenience anymore. This is about making sure you don't get turned away at check-in. I've gone through the State Department updates, the UK government enforcement notices, and the European Commission directives to give you the facts. So grab a pen. Let's make sure you're not the one left behind in 2026. Let's start with the single most misunderstood rule in international travel, the one that denies boarding to more people than any other passport issue. It's called the 6-month validity rule, and if you don't understand it, you're gambling with your vacation. Here's what it means. Many countries will not allow you to enter if your passport expires within 6 months of your arrival date, even if your passport is technically still valid during your entire trip. Let me say that again because this is where seniors get caught. It doesn't matter that your passport is valid for the dates you'll actually be in the country. What matters is whether it's valid for 6 months beyond your entry date. Let's use a real scenario. You're planning a trip to Italy in March 2026. You'll be there for 10 days. Your passport doesn't expire until August 2026, so you figure you're covered. But actually you're not, because Italy, like most of the European Union, enforces the 6-month rule. When you show up at the airport in March, your passport expires in 5 months, not 6. The airline will deny you boarding before you even get to Italy because they know Italian immigration will send you back, and the airline will be fined. You've just lost your flight, your hotel deposits, and possibly your entire vacation. Which countries enforce this strictly? All of the European Union, the United Kingdom, most of Asia, including Japan, Thailand, and China, Australia and New Zealand. Pretty much anywhere that's not Canada or Mexico requires 6 months. Some countries have a 3-month rule instead. But here's the problem. You can't count on remembering which is which when you're booking a trip. The safe rule is this. If your passport expires anytime in 2026 and you're planning international travel in the first half of the year, you need to renew now, not next month, not when it's convenient now. Here's the math that keeps you safe. If you're traveling in March 2026, your passport must be valid through September 2026. If you're traveling in May 2026, it must be valid through November 2026. Add 6 months to your travel date and check your expiration. If it falls short, you're at risk. The fix is simple, but it requires action today. Check your passport expiration date right now. If it expires before September 2026 and you have any spring or summer travel plans, start the renewal process this week. Do not wait until January. Processing times can stretch to 8 weeks or more during peak season, and peak season starts in January when everyone realizes they need to renew. Now here's the good news, and this is a genuine improvement that's going to make life easier for seniors who dread standing in line at the post office. The State Department has been testing an online passport renewal system, and in 2026, the goal is to have this fully available to the public. This is a complete game changer. You can take your passport photo with your smartphone, upload it through the State Department website, pay the renewal fee online with a credit card, and skip the post office entirely. No printing forms, no certified mail, no waiting in line. You do the whole thing from your kitchen table. But before you get too excited, there are strict limitations on who qualifies for online renewal. This is only for renewals. If your passport has been expired for more than 5 years, you cannot use the online system. You have to apply in person as if it's a first-time application. If you're applying for a passport for the very first time in your life, this doesn't apply to you either. You still have to go in person with your birth certificate and documentation. If you need to add pages to your passport, or if your name has changed since your last passport and you haven't updated it yet, online renewal won't work. You'll be kicked back to the traditional process. For those who do qualify, here's what the process looks like. You'll go to travel.state.gov and look for the online renewal portal. I will leave a link in the description. You'll need a digital copy of your current passport, so you'll scan or photograph the information page. You'll take a new passport photo using your phone. However, a warning, this is only for standard processing. If you need your passport in less than 8 weeks, you still have to use expedited service, which costs extra and may require you to go in person or mail physical documents. And here's the critical reminder that applies whether you renew online or by mail. The 6-month rule I just explained. Many countries will not let you in if your passport expires within 6 months of your trip. Check that date today. If you're renewing for 2026 travel, don't cut it close. Now let's talk about why your passport just became even more valuable. And it has nothing to do with international travel. This is about domestic flights within the United States. You've heard about the Real ID Act for years, that little gold star on your driver's license. The deadline kept getting pushed back. Well, the final deadline is May 2025, and it's not moving again. But here's what's new for 2026. Starting February 1st, 2026, if you show up at a TSA checkpoint without a Real ID compliant license and without a valid passport, you will be charged. They're calling it the Confirm ID fee. It's $45, and it's non-refundable. The TSA's logic is that manually verifying your identity costs taxpayer money, so they're passing that cost on to you. But here's the trap that's going to hit seniors hard, especially snowbirds flying south for the winter. That $45 fee only buys you a 10-day verification window. Let's say you fly from Chicago to Phoenix on February 5th. You don't have a Real ID license, and you forgot to bring your passport. You pay the $45 at the checkpoint. You get through security. You have a wonderful 2-week vacation in Arizona. On February 20th, you go to fly home. Your 10-day window expired on February 15th. You have to pay another $45 to get through security for your return flight. That's $90 total because you didn't have the right ID. Here's the fix, and it's simpler than you think. If you have a valid US passport or passport card, you are completely exempt from this fee. Your passport counts as a federally approved ID for domestic flights. You never have to worry about the Real ID deadline or the Confirm ID fee for seniors who fly even a few times a year. Keeping your passport current is now a financial no-brainer. A passport renewal costs $130 and is valid for 10 years. That $45 fee could hit you twice in a single round-trip vacation, and you'd be out $90. Your passport pays for itself after just 2 trips, and you're covered for a decade. But wait, it gets better. If you're married or you travel with a partner, and both of you don't have Real ID licenses, you're both paying that fee, $90 per person per round trip. That's $180 gone just to stand in the security line. Renewing both of your passports costs $260 total and covers you for 10 years. Do the math. Your passport just became the smartest investment you can make for stress-free travel in 2026. Now let's cross the Atlantic and talk about the United Kingdom, because this is where things get strict, and I mean strict in a way that leaves no room for error. If you are planning a trip to London, Scotland, Wales, or even Northern Ireland in 2026, the rules of entry have fundamentally changed. We've been warning you about the UK's Electronic Travel Authorization, or ETA, for months. It technically launched for US citizens back in January 2025. But during that first year, there was what we'll call a soft launch period. Airlines were lenient, border agents were forgiving. If you showed up without one, they'd often let it slide with a warning. That grace period ends on February 25th, 2026. Starting on that date, the UK government is implementing strict enforcement, and this is a no permission, no boarding policy. If you do not have an approved ETA linked to your passport number in the airline's computer system, the system will physically stop the gate agent from printing your boarding pass. This isn't a human decision. This is a computer lockout. The agent couldn't help you even if they wanted to. You're not getting on that plane. This isn't a visa you can get at the airport or when you land. You must apply via the UK ETA app on your smartphone or through the UK government website days before your flight. It costs £16, which is about $21 US dollars, and it's valid for 2 years or until your passport expires, whichever comes first. Here's the part that catches people off guard. This requirement applies even if you're just transiting through a UK airport. Let's say you're flying from New York to Paris, but your flight has a layover at Heathrow. You're not leaving the airport. You're not entering the UK. Doesn't matter if you step foot in a UK airport, even just to change planes. You need an ETA. Don't let a layover turn into a travel nightmare because you didn't know about a $21 digital form. Here's how to apply correctly. Download the UK ETA app from the official UK government site or your phone's app store. You'll need your passport, a digital photo of yourself, and a credit or debit card. The app walks you through the process. You'll enter your passport information, upload your photo, answer a few security questions about criminal history, and pay the £16 fee. Most applications are approved within 3 days, but some can take up to a week if there's a flag in the system. Apply at least 2 weeks before your flight to give yourself a buffer. Once approved, the ETA is electronically linked to your passport number. You don't get a physical document. It's all digital. When you check in for your flight, the airline's computer verifies your ETA automatically. If it's not there, you're not flying. While we're talking about the UK, prepare your wallet for another change. Starting April 1st, 2026, the UK Air Passenger Duty (APD) is increasing. This is a departure tax added to every ticket leaving a UK airport, and the increase specifically targets premium cabins. If you're a senior traveler who splurges on premium economy or business class for comfort on that long transatlantic flight home, you are going to see a significant jump in ticket prices. We're talking about a tax bill of over £200 per person, just for the privilege of extra legroom and a larger seat. This is a good reason to consider flying home from Dublin or Paris instead, where these specific tax increases don't apply in the same way. Moving to the European continent, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Portugal, all of them. The Entry-Exit System, or EES, began its gradual rollout back in October 2025, but April 2026 marks the target for full implementation across all EU border crossings. This means the age of the passport stamp is officially over. When you land in Europe, you will not walk up to a booth and watch a border guard flip through your passport and stamp a page. That's done. Instead, you will go to a kiosk. You must scan your face using a camera. You must provide fingerprints for all 4 fingers of both hands using a digital scanner. The system captures this biometric data, links it to your passport, and tracks your entry and exit automatically. For my travelers over 70, listen closely because I know this technology can feel intimidating. These kiosks can be finicky. The screens are often positioned high, which can be difficult if you have neck or vision issues. The fingerprint scanners require firm pressure. If your hands shake or you have arthritis, it can take a few tries to get a clean scan. Do not let the people behind you in line rush you. Take your time, press firmly, follow the on-screen instructions. If you're struggling, there will be staff nearby who can assist, but you have to ask. They won't automatically step in. Here's the part that should concern frequent travelers and long-stay visitors. This system automatically calculates your time in the Schengen zone, which is the 27 countries in Europe that allow free movement between borders. US citizens are allowed 90 days within any 180-day period. In the past, with passport stamps, you could sometimes fudge the dates or claim you lost track. Border guards had discretion. That's gone. The EA's computer knows exactly when you entered, exactly when you exited, and exactly how many days you've used. If you overstay by even 1 day, 91 days instead of 90, the system flags you instantly. You could be banned from re-entering Europe for months or even years. The human discretion of the border guard is gone. The computer doesn't care about your story. Now, I know you're worried about ETIAS, the European Travel Information and Authorization System. There is so much bad information out there right now. People saying you need this in January 2026. Websites trying to charge you fees today. Let me clarify. You do not need ETIAS for travel in January, February, or March 2026. That system is not live yet. The current target is late 2026, likely towards the end of the year, but no official date has been confirmed. When ETIAS does launch, here's what you need to know. It will work similarly to the UK ETA. You'll apply online, answer security and background questions, and pay a fee. The fee is €7, about $8 US. But here's the good news that you need to file away right now. If you are over the age of 70, the ETIAS fee is waived. You still have to fill out the application. You still have to go through the process, but you don't have to pay the €7. This is a senior benefit built into the system. So here's the trap. If you see a website trying to charge you €7 for an ETIAS application and you're 75 years old, you are on a scam site. Legitimate third-party services might charge a processing fee on top of the government fee, but the government fee itself should be waived if you're over 70. Only use the official EU ETIAS website when the system goes live. Do not trust random websites that show up in Google Ads. One final international note that's catching people off guard. And this is critical if you're booking a cruise to South America or planning a trip to Rio. Brazil reinstated its visa requirement for US citizens back in April 2025. This is still surprising travelers in December 2025, and it's going to catch even more people in 2026. For decades, US citizens could enter Brazil visa-free for tourism. That ended in April 2025 as a reciprocal response to US visa policies for Brazilian citizens. Now you need an e-visa. It's an electronic visa, but it requires you to upload bank statements to prove financial stability, a copy of your flight itinerary, and sometimes hotel reservations. It costs about $80, and processing can take 5 to 10 business days. Here's the trap for cruise passengers. If you're booking an Amazon River cruise that departs from Manaus or a South America cruise that stops in Rio de Janeiro, and you don't have this Brazilian visa, you will not be allowed to board the ship. The cruise line will check your visa status at embarkation, and if you don't have it, you're not getting on. This is fully active for January 2026 travel. Don't assume it's optional or that you can get it on arrival. You can't apply at least 3 to 4 weeks before your departure date to give yourself time for processing and any potential delays or requests for additional documentation. Now let's talk about the hidden passport traps, the things that aren't new rules but are operational realities that will ruin your trip if you don't know about them. First, blank pages. Many countries require that you have at least 2 to 4 blank pages in your passport for entry and exit stamps, even if stamps are being phased out in some places. If your passport is filled with stamps from years of travel, you can't just cross out an old stamp and reuse the page. You need blank pages. If you're down to your last page or two and you have multiple trips planned in 2026, renew your passport now. You can't add pages anymore. That service was discontinued. Your only option is a full renewal. Second, name changes. If you're a senior woman who got married or divorced years ago, and your passport still has your maiden name or an old married name, but your driver's license or other documents have your current legal name, this will cause problems. Your passport name must match your ticket name, which must match your ID name. If they don't align, you could be denied boarding. If you've had a name change and never updated your passport, do it now. You'll need to submit legal documentation of the name change, like a marriage certificate or divorce decree, along with your renewal application. Third, damaged passports. Water damage, torn pages, a faded photo, heavy wear on the cover. Any of this can lead to a passport being declared invalid by a border agent. I've seen travelers denied entry because their passport got wet in a rainstorm and the pages are wavy. It's still readable, but the agent deems it damaged. If your passport looks rough, renew it. Don't gamble on a border agent's discretion. Fourth, passport cards versus passport books. This trips up seniors all the time. A passport card is cheaper and more convenient to carry. It fits in your wallet. But here's the catch. A passport card only works for land and sea border crossings with Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Bermuda. It does not work for air travel internationally. If you fly to Europe, Asia, South America, anywhere, you must have a passport book. The card will not get you on the plane. Don't show up to the airport with just a card and expect it to work for a flight to London. Here's your action checklist for January 2026. Check your passport expiration date today. Use the 6-month rule. If you're traveling in the first half of 2026, your passport should be valid through at least September 2026. If it's not, renew immediately. Second, verify how many blank pages you have left. If you're down to 1 or 2 pages and you have multiple international trips planned, renew now. Third, if you're traveling to the UK anytime after February 25th, download the UK ETA app this week. Apply at least 2 weeks before your flight. It costs £16 and takes 10 minutes. Fourth, set a reminder for ETIAS. It's not live yet, but when it launches in late 2026, you'll need it for Europe. And remember, if you're over 70, the fee is waived. Don't pay scam sites. Fifth, if you're going to Brazil, apply for your e-visa now. Processing takes up to 10 days, and you need it before you board your flight or cruise. Sixth, take a photo of your passport information page. Store it in your phone and email it to yourself. If your passport is lost or stolen abroad, having a digital copy speeds up the emergency replacement process significantly. Seventh, register your international trips with the State Department at travel.state.gov. This free service lets the US Embassy know you're in the country, and they can contact you in case of an emergency or natural disaster. Passport rules in 2026 aren't just stricter, they're digital, they're automated, and they leave no room for human discretion or talking your way out of a problem. The days of showing up at the airport and figuring it out are over. Here's the reality. A $130 passport renewal protects you from a $45 TSA fee every time you fly domestically. A £16 UK tax 10 minutes to apply for and saves your entire London vacation. A €7 ETIAS application, free if you're over 70, keeps you legal in 27 European countries. These aren't bureaucratic annoyances. These are the price of entry in 2026. Pay attention to the dates. February 1st for the confirmed ID fee, February 25th for strict UK ETA enforcement, April 2026 for full ETIAS rollout in Europe, late 2026 for ETAs. These aren't rumors. These are official government deadlines, and airlines will enforce them without exception. I want you to keep traveling. I want you to see the world, but I want you to do it with your documents in order and your application submitted on time. Don't let a passport expiration date or a forgotten digital authorization be the reason you miss your vacation. If you found this guide helpful, hit that subscribe button. I'll be tracking these passport and visa changes every single week as they roll out. Stay informed, stay prepared, and I'll see you at the gate.